When it comes to texting, it's easy to make a few missteps that can unintentionally cause a man to lose interest. The way you communicate through text is a reflection of your personality and the relationship dynamic you're trying to build. Here are 7 texting mistakes you might be making that are driving him away. When it comes to relationships, men appreciate feeling like they are the ones who are pursuing you. It's an essential element of attraction. Many women make the mistake of texting too much or being overly available, which can give off the impression that they are chasing the man. It's natural to want to connect and show interest. But if you always make the first move or always seem eager to communicate, it can diminish his desire to pursue you. Instead, allow him to take the lead. Let him reach out first and initiate plans. When a man feels like he's putting in effort and chasing you, it helps to build the attraction and respect. He wants to feel that he's winning your affection through his actions and intentions rather than just being handed everything easily. There's an element of mystery and challenge that keeps a man intrigued. And when he has to work to win your attention, he's more likely to value you more. Of course, this doesn't mean being aloof or playing hard to get. It's about finding the right balance where you are still showing genuine interest, but not overwhelming him with constant attention. You want him to feel that he's the one putting in the effort to win you over, and this subtle power shift can make all the difference in the dynamic. By allowing him to pursue you, you're also respecting the natural flow of attraction and letting him enjoy the process of getting to know you. This doesn't mean you play games or hold back your feelings, but rather that you respect your own worth and understand the importance of not making it too easy for him. When you're constantly available through text, it can create an unhealthy dynamic in the relationship. When a man sees that you are always texting or responding immediately, it might make him feel like you have nothing else going on in your life or that he is the sole focus of your attention. This can cause him to lose interest because he feels like he's not earning your time or affection. It's important to have your own life, your own interests, and your own sense of fulfillment outside of him. Men are attracted to women who are independent and have their own passions and goals. When you allow yourself to become overly available, you risk coming across as needy or desperate, which can create an imbalance in the relationship. Instead of constantly checking your phone, you should focus on building your own world, cultivating your personal growth, and engaging in activities that make you happy. This not only makes you more attractive, but also ensures that you're not putting all of your emotional energy into him or the relationship. By keeping your own life full and exciting, you create a healthy space for the relationship to develop organically without smothering it with constant communication. When a man feels that you have a fulfilling life of your own, it makes him want to be a part of that life, and he will be more likely to invest emotionally and time-wise. Having your own space allows the relationship to breathe and prevents it from feeling forced or suffocating. This dynamic encourages mutual respect and admiration, which are key components for long-term success. So while texting is important, don't make it the focal point of your connection. Instead, balance your communication with your own life and interests to ensure the relationship grows in a healthy and natural way. When your texts lack depth or substance, it can create a sense of disconnect between you and the man you're engaging with. Superficial texting can make the conversation feel shallow, and he might start losing interest if the interaction feels like it's going nowhere. While lighthearted and casual messages can be fun, when that's all the conversation consists of, it doesn't allow you both to truly get to know one another on a deeper level. Relationships are built on connection, and one of the key ways to establish that connection is through meaningful conversation. If your texts are always short, bland, or revolve around small talk, it becomes difficult for him to see the real you or feel a deeper emotional connection. Men are often drawn to women who can engage them in thought-provoking conversations, who can share their passions, dreams, and values. They want to feel like they are learning something about you and understanding what makes you tick. When your texting doesn't go beyond surface-level topics, it limits the potential for emotional intimacy. Furthermore, when you're not making an effort to engage in more meaningful conversations, he may begin to feel like you're not fully invested or interested in developing something more with him. The key is balance. Don't feel like every message needs to be deeply profound, but also don't allow all your interactions to remain shallow. Give space for some vulnerability and depth in your text. Ask questions that invite more thoughtful responses. Share things that matter to you and create a space where both of you feel comfortable expressing your true selves. By doing this, you're nurturing a deeper emotional bond and encouraging a more genuine connection. And as he feels this connection grow, he will be far less likely to lose interest in you. So being mindful of how you communicate and always seek to create conversations that matter rather than letting them remain superficial. When your texts are constantly late or overly delayed, it can cause frustration and confusion for a man. In the fast-paced world we live in today, waiting for a response for hours or even days can make someone feel undervalued or unimportant. Communication is key, and timely responses show that you're engaged and interested in maintaining a connection. If you consistently take too long to reply, he may start to feel like you're not prioritizing him or that he's not a priority in your life. This can lead to doubt and uncertainty, which can quickly make him question whether he should keep pursuing you or look elsewhere. Men appreciate when someone takes the time to respond in a reasonable amount of time. It doesn't mean you have to be glued to your phone, but it does show a level of respect for the other person's time. If you're constantly leaving him hanging, he may feel like he's putting more effort into the conversation than you are, and over time, that imbalance can wear him down. Furthermore, this behavior can lead to misunderstandings. If he's not sure why you're taking so long to reply, he may begin to overthink the situation, assuming the worst. Maybe you're losing interest, or maybe you're seeing other people. This creates an environment of doubt, and men typically don't like to feel uncertain. They prefer clarity and consistency, especially when it comes to communication. Another issue with delayed texting is that it can cause the emotional connection to fade. When a response is delayed, the conversation loses momentum and it's harder to maintain a flow. The connection that might have developed through timely texting gets stunted, making it harder to keep the relationship growing. Even if you are interested, delays in response may make it appear like you're not. This inconsistency creates confusion and frustration, and in the worst case scenario, it can even cause the man to give up on the relationship altogether. You don't have to respond instantly, but being considerate of his time and providing thoughtful responses in a timely manner will go a long way in maintaining the spark and connection. Being responsive doesn't mean dropping everything every time a message comes through, but it does mean being mindful and respecting his desire to feel valued. In relationships, whether casual or serious, communication is often the foundation upon which everything else is built. If the conversation is left to wither because of delayed responses, it may be difficult to recover the momentum. Sending overly brief or one-word responses can create the impression that you're disinterested or disengaged. When texting, it's important to provide thoughtful replies that show you're genuinely involved in the conversation. If you consistently reply with just a yes, okay, or LL, it can give off the effort dive, and the effort man may start to feel that the connection isn't strong enough to continue. These one-word responses can create an emotional distance because they lack depth or any meaningful substance, making it difficult for the conversation to progress. If you're consistently replying with short answers, it can be hard for him to gauge where you stand. Men appreciate a woman who can engage in a conversation, share her thoughts, and give more than just the minimum response. When you give more than just a quick generic answer, it shows that you're invested in the conversation and interested in getting to know him better. By responding with thoughtfulness, you invite him to share more and create a deeper connection, which helps build a stronger relationship. On the flip side, sending brief texts can also cause frustration for him. If he's opening up, sharing personal thoughts, or asking meaningful questions, and you respond with something minimal or dismissive, it can make him feel like he's being ignored or undervalued. It may lead him to feel like you're not taking the relationship seriously or that he's not important to you, which can result in him pulling away emotionally. Communication is the key to building any relationship, and when one party feels that the exchange isn't genuine, it can have a negative impact on the connection. This doesn't mean you need to send lengthy paragraphs every time, but it does mean being intentional with your words and giving him something to work with. By providing more than just a quick response, you help create an atmosphere of openness and curiosity, which allows the relationship to thrive. When you engage with him thoughtfully, he feels seen, heard, and valued. This fosters a sense of trust and closeness, which are essential for any relationship to grow. In contrast, if your texts remain consistently short and unengaged, he may begin to question whether you're truly invested in the connection or just going through the motions. Over time, this lack of effort in communication can cause him to lose interest because the relationship feels stagnant, shallow, or lacking in real emotional depth. Keeping the conversation alive and flowing with more than just surface level replies is key to ensuring that the connection remains strong and meaningful. Double texting too often can make a man feel overwhelmed or pressured. While there's nothing wrong with showing interest and being engaged in a conversation, constantly sending multiple messages before he has had a chance to respond can come across as needy or impatient. It's natural to want to keep the conversation going, especially when you're excited about someone, but giving him space to respond on his own time is important. When a man sees back to back messages from you, he may start to feel like he's being chased rather than naturally drawn toward you. It can create an imbalance in the dynamic where he feels pressured to reply rather than genuinely wanting to engage. Sometimes men take time to process messages, especially if they're busy with work, family, or personal matters. When you send multiple messages in a row, it can give off the impression that you're overly dependent on his attention for validation. This can be overwhelming, making him feel like the relationship dynamic is shifting into something forced rather than flowing naturally. If he sees that you're always the one initiating and following up before he has a chance to reply, he may take a step back rather than moving forward. Men are drawn to confidence and self-assurance, and a woman who trusts the process of communication without constantly checking in or pushing for a response exudes a sense of security. Giving space for a natural rhythm of texting allows him to take the initiative as well, making him feel like he's equally invested in the conversation. If you notice that you're frequently double texting, take a step back and ask yourself why. Are you feeling anxious about whether he's interested? Are you trying to fill a void by keeping the conversation going? Understanding the underlying reasons can help you shift your approach and create a healthier texting dynamic. Instead of filling in gaps with unnecessary follow-ups, focus on other aspects of your life that bring you fulfillment. When a man sees that you're not overly reliant on his immediate responses, it makes him more likely to engage with you naturally. There's a difference between showing interest and coming across as too eager. Men are more intrigued by a woman who is confident enough to give the conversation room to breathe. By allowing a natural back and forth to develop, you create a space where he can step up and show his interest without feeling pushed. In many cases, men appreciate the chance to take the lead in communication, and when they see that you're not chasing them through excessive texting, they may feel even more drawn to you. It's not about playing games or withholding messages on purpose, but rather about trusting that if he's interested, he will make the effort to reach out and keep the conversation going. Creating a balanced communication flow allows both of you to feel equally invested, leading to a stronger and healthier connection over time. Being overly available through text can make a man lose interest because it removes the element of mystery and anticipation. When you're always responding instantly or initiating conversations constantly, it may seem like you don't have much going on in your own life. While there's nothing wrong with being eager to communicate, a healthy relationship thrives on balance, space, and individuality. When a man sees that you're always available at the drop of a hat, it can make the connection feel too predictable, and he may subconsciously start to take you for granted. Men are naturally drawn to a sense of intrigue and challenge in relationships. If you're always quick to text back or consistently free at any moment, he may start to feel like he doesn't have to put an effort to win your attention. The dynamic becomes one-sided where he doesn't feel the need to step up because you're already making things too easy. This doesn't mean you should purposely ignore him or play games, but rather you should allow space for your own life to flourish outside of him. A woman who has passions, goals, and a social life of her own is naturally more attractive because it shows confidence and independence. When you are always available, it can give off the impression that you're waiting around for him, which can make the relationship feel imbalanced. Men appreciate women who have their own priorities and are not solely focused on them. This doesn't mean you shouldn't be responsive or show interest, but rather you should create a dynamic where he also has to invest effort to engage with you. If he knows that you're always ready to text back instantly or free to talk anytime, he may start to feel like there's no excitement in the interaction. Relationships thrive when both people feel like they are bringing something valuable to the table, and when a man has to work a little to earn your time, he values it more. Another reason being overly available can be a mistake is that it doesn't allow for natural breaks in communication, which can make conversations feel forced or repetitive. When you're constantly texting throughout the day, there's little room for meaningful conversations because there's no time to miss each other or have new things to share. Sometimes taking a step back and allowing time apart creates a sense of longing and curiosity. When he wonders what you're up to or has to wait a little before hearing from you, it builds excitement and anticipation. Men are naturally wired to pursue and put effort into things that feel rewarding. When he has to work a little to connect with you, it creates a sense of appreciation and value for the time you do spend together. Being less available doesn't mean ignoring him or playing hard to get. It simply means making sure you're prioritizing yourself and not putting your entire focus on him. When you maintain your own interests, social life, and personal growth, it makes you more attractive in his eyes because it shows that you're a woman who is fulfilled on her own. This energy is magnetic because it creates a dynamic where he feels drawn to you rather than feeling like you're constantly waiting for him. It encourages a balance where both of you are contributing equally to the relationship rather than one person always being the one to reach out and engage. Sending long, emotionally charged texts can make a man lose interest because it often comes across as overwhelming and burdensome. While it's important to express your feelings, texting isn't always the best way to have deep or emotionally heavy conversations. When a man receives a lengthy message filled with intense emotions, he may feel pressured or even put on the defensive, especially if the message is addressing problems, concerns, or frustrations. Men typically process emotions differently than women, and they tend to respond better to direct face-to-face conversations rather than the walls of text that can feel like a lecture or a demand for an immediate response. A long text message can also make a man feel like he has to provide a detailed or equally emotional response, which can be exhausting. If he's at work busy or simply not in the right headspace to engage in that level of conversation, he may withdraw rather than respond. This can create a cycle where you feel unheard or ignored, and he feels overwhelmed and hesitant to text at all. Instead of fostering healthy communication, excessive emotional texting can lead to misunderstandings, frustration, and even resentment. A message that seems perfectly reasonable to you might feel like too much to him, especially if it's a topic that would be better addressed in person. Texting is meant to be a tool for lighthearted connection, quick updates, and coordinating plans, not the primary method for resolving emotional conflicts. When every text exchange turns into a deep conversation, it takes away the natural flow of communication. A man wants to feel good when he hears from you, not like he's stepping into a conversation that requires emotional labor every time he checks his phone. While expressing your feelings is valid, the method of delivery matters. Men appreciate when difficult topics are discussed in a way that allows them to process and respond at their own pace. A heavy text puts them in a position where they feel they have to react immediately, and that pressure can push them away rather than bring them closer. When you rely on long text to express emotions, it can also create a dynamic where he becomes hesitant to check his phone or respond quickly because he doesn't want to get caught in another emotionally intense conversation. He might start avoiding texting altogether, not because he doesn't care, but because it feels like a chore rather than an enjoyable way to connect. The more this happens, the more distance builds between you, and over time, he may associate texting with stress rather than excitement. Instead of sending long texts, consider expressing key points in a concise and clear manner. And if it's something that requires a deep discussion, suggest talking about it in person. This allows for real-time interaction where tone, body language, and understanding are clearer. A face-to-face conversation gives both of you a chance to express yourselves fully without the risk of misinterpretation. Men respond better to discussions where they feel they have the space to think, speak, and engage rather than feeling like they're being bombarded with words they have to process all at once. Keeping text light, engaging, and to the point allows communication to feel effortless rather than overwhelming. Constantly double texting or sending multiple messages before he replies can make a man lose interest because it comes across as needy or impatient. While you might just be eager to continue the conversation, repeatedly sending messages without giving him time to respond can make him feel pressured or overwhelmed. Men generally appreciate space and communication, and if they feel like they're being chased through text, they may start to withdraw. When you send one text and don't get a response right away, it's natural to wonder what's going on. But immediately following up with another message, especially if it's asking why he hasn't replied, can make him feel like he's being monitored or expected to be available at all times. Texting should feel natural and enjoyable, not like a demand for attention. If he's genuinely interested, he will respond when he has the time and mental space to do so. If you keep sending messages without waiting for a reply, it might make him feel like he has to answer out of obligation rather than desire. This can create a dynamic where texting starts to feel like a responsibility rather than a way to connect. When a man starts to feel like he's being pressured to reply quickly every time, he may start to disengage to create distance. He doesn't want to feel like he's constantly on call, and if every delay in response results in another text, it can make him feel suffocated. Men value communication that feels easy and stress-free. When you constantly send follow-up texts, it can make them feel like they're being interrogated or that their silence is being questioned. This can be especially frustrating if they are genuinely busy dealing with something important or just need a moment to themselves. A man might see multiple messages and feel like he's being put in a position where he has to explain himself, which can create unnecessary tension. Instead of making him more eager to respond, it might make him less inclined to engage at all. Over time, if he associates texting with feeling pressured, he may start pulling away rather than looking forward to your messages. A confident woman knows her value and doesn't feel the need to chase validation through texting. When you send a message and don't get a response immediately, trust that he will get back to you when he's ready. If he consistently takes too long or seems uninterested in responding, that's a sign of his level of investment, and you should take note of that rather than trying to force engagement. By maintaining a relaxed approach to texting, you show that you have your own life, you respect his space, and you are secure in your worth. This makes you more attractive because men are drawn to women who don't feel the need to seek constant reassurance through their phones. Overusing emojis, especially in a way that feels excessive or childish, can make a man lose interest in texting. While emojis can add personality and emotion to messages, relying too much on them can make conversations feel less mature or meaningful. When every text is overloaded with hearts, winks, or laughing faces, it can make it seem like you're not taking the conversation seriously or that you're trying to keep things light and playful. While some men enjoy playful texting, others may find an excessive amount of emojis distracting or even annoying, especially if it replaces actual words or meaningful dialogue. Men appreciate clear and direct communication. If you're constantly responding with only emojis instead of actual sentences, it can make the conversation feel superficial or lacking in depth. For example, if he asks how your day was and you simply respond with a string of smiling or heart emojis, it doesn't give him anything to connect with. A man wants to feel engaged in the conversation, and if emojis are used in place of meaningful responses, he may lose interest because he doesn't feel like he's getting to know you on a deeper level. Balance is key. Using emojis to enhance your messages is fine, but when they replace genuine communication, it can make texting feel impersonal. Issue with overusing emojis is that it can sometimes create confusion about your emotions or intentions. While you might be trying to express excitement or affection, too many emojis can make it difficult for a man to understand how you truly feel. If he's trying to have a serious conversation and your responses are filled with laughing or playful emojis, it might make him feel like you're not really listening or taking things seriously. This can be frustrating, especially if he's looking for a genuine emotional connection. Men value conversations that feel real and authentic. And if emojis constantly take over, he may feel like he's not getting a true sense of your personality or thought. Some men simply don't use emojis often and may not know how to interpret them. If he's someone who prefers straightforward texting and you're constantly using a variety of emojis, he might feel disconnected or unsure of how to respond. Texting should feel natural and easy. And if he starts to feel like he has to decode what you're trying to say through emojis, it can make communication more frustrating than enjoyable. A well-placed emoji can add charm, but when it becomes excessive, it can make a man lose interest because it feels like the conversation lacks authenticity. To build a strong and lasting connection, it's important to be mindful of how you text. Avoid these mistakes and focus on creating an authentic, balanced, and meaningful exchange. When you communicate in a way that shows you respect yourself and him, it will naturally strengthen the bond between you.